Welcome to our webinar about the Portuguese Golden Visa program. My name is Sara Rebolo. I'm president of the Portuguese Association of Immigration, Investment and Relocation. I'm also a lawyer and partner at Caiado, Guerreiro, a law firm with 40 years of presence in Portugal, local representation in Angola, Brazil, Mozambique, as well as in Beijing, China. Our firm provides services in the different areas of the law, namely corporate and M&A, tax, labor, litigation, renewable energies, and real estate, as well as regarding immigration and tech law. Our immigration department has 14 lawyers, as well as one of the most known, experienced, and reliable immigration departments in Portugal. So far, we have assisted more than 2,000 high net worth individuals and their families in their immigration and investment process in Portugal. Today, with me to explain why Portugal is not only the immigration solution, but also the investment solution, I have Mrs. Danchan, private banker, and Mr. Pedro Rodrigues, head of the wealth department at Bison Bank, a Chinese capital financial institution that makes a bridge between Asian and Portugal investment, as well as Mr. Gilberto from Jordan Group, a group with tight connection to Brazil and one of the most solid real estate groups in Portugal. I will give the word to Mrs. Lee for a brief introduction.
Hi, hello everyone. I'm really happy to be with you today. Thank you, Sara, for the brief introduction. I'm with Bison Bank, and today I'm going to explain you how the Bison Bank can provide you financial services and help you to go through all the Golden Visa process in terms of banking services. Also, I would like to introduce to you one of the options for Golden Visa, which is venture capital funds with 350K investment for the immigration process. Now, Pedro can give you a brief introduction of our wealth management services at Bison Bank.
Hello, everybody. It's a real pleasure to be here and to share with you what Bison Bank can provide you in terms of investment services, specifically wealth management services, which is also one of the options to get the Golden Visa in Portugal. As you know, there are several options. One of them is to open an account of 1 million euros, and then invest and go over all the financial planning that the clients need to retain that 1 million euros and to be eligible for the Golden Visa. I have over 22 years of experience in financial capital markets, always on the buy side and different areas, being from fund management to asset management and to discretionary portfolio management. And we have a whole team dedicated to this service with an average of 20 years of experience in the market. I will now pass over to Gilberto Jordan.
Thank you very much for the invitation to be here today. My name is Gilberto Jordan. I am CEO of the André Jordan Group, which is a group founded by my grandfather 80 years ago. We're the real estate solution for the Golden Visa programs. And we are promoting the Belos Club de Campo, which is a country club in Lisbon, in the greater Lisbon area. And it's being sought by international investors and residents. We have over 33 nationalities now, over 30 nationalities resident here, and it's an excellent choice for your investment in Portugal. And I pass back to Sara.
So starting about our topic of today, the Portugal Golden Visa as the immigration and investment solution, I would like to start to present some useful facts about Portugal and about the Golden Visa program. So what is the Golden Visa? The Golden Visa program is an immigration program that enables third country nationals to obtain a temporary residence permit through an investment activity in Portugal. Without residence permits, the investor and his family members are entitled to get the right to live, to work, and to study in Portugal, if they wish. It's not mandatory. They can travel in Schengen area without a specific visa. The Golden Visa will be useful for that. They do not have to stay or live in Portugal. The minimum staying requirements in the Portuguese territory is for 7 days a year. They can circulate in the Schengen area, as mentioned. They can benefit from family reunification of spouse and children if they have over 18 years old, as well as parents and parents-in-law. They can benefit from healthcare, social protection, and educational system in Portugal, and they can apply after 5 years both to permanent residency or to the Portuguese citizenship, getting one of the strongest passports in the world. The Portuguese Golden Visa allows the investor to choose one of 8 different investments. We can divide it in 6 main areas of investments: the real estate, the jobs creation, companies investments, real estate acquisition, donation on activities for reconstruction and artistic output, and also research activities for scientific and technological areas. My colleagues today in the webinar will speak about the funds option, as well as the capital transfer of 1 million, and about the real estate. This because is the 2 options that most of the investors, around 95%, have chosen so far. So they regard the capital transfer of 1 million, or the acquisition of participation units in fund investment or venture capital investment funds for 350K, or real estate acquisition, mostly in the minimum amount of 500,000. The Portugal Golden Visa has a process that is very simple. We can divide it in 4 steps. The first one, where the client will choose the investments, hiring a legal advisor, hiring a tax representative, and selecting a bank in Portugal to work with. After choosing the investments, the clients should search and prepare the investment, meaning that there are a time for due diligence to confirm that it's a safe investment. After that, there are documents to be signed for the investment purposes, also for the immigration purposes. And the client should transfer the capital to Portugal. It's mandatory for the Golden Visa that the investment is due with foreign capitals, and the client should prepare the personal documents in their local country, including, for instance, criminal records or marriage certificate or birth certificates in case of family reunification. In the third step, we can say that we are concluding the investments. So the client should conclude the payment of the investment according to the negotiation of the contract. The client should then have the definitive investment proof. According to the option of investment, it can take between 1 week to 15 business days. And in the end, the proof of investments that will be needed to file at the Portuguese Immigration Office to conclude the application. And in what regards to the final step, so the application for the Golden Visa, we have an online stage that can take around 4 weeks. We have then a preliminary acceptance where the client will be allowed to book an appointment to come to Portugal for the collection of biometric data. And we have the approval that can take between 3 to 9 months. So in summary, the Portuguese Golden Visa works this way. First, you prepare and do the investment, and then you make the application for the Golden Visa. It's mandatory that at the time of your application, you have a complete process, including real estate or fund acquisition and the definitive documents, personal documents from your local country. Also important, all the foreign documents, they must be legalized or authenticated, and they should be translated into Portuguese so they can be accepted here in Portugal. Some clients ask us why Portuguese Golden Visa. It is a reliable program. We can say that yes, it is. You can see in these graphics the numbers that demonstrate the capacity of the Portuguese Golden Visa. We have the number of visas issued since the beginning. The program started in 2012, and the numbers are increasing. Now in 2020, we had one of the biggest applications in the last months, in May, mostly because of the way Portuguese authorities dealt with the coronavirus, showing that we are not only friendly of the immigrants, but also very capable and with very good healthcare system to support, so the immigrants feel safe in Portugal. In the second graphic, you can see the Golden Visa main applicants by month and origin. And as it's known, the Chinese applicants, they correspond more or less to 70–80% of the total applicants. They are followed by Brazil because of the proximity and language connection. And then from Russia, South Africa, and Turkey applicants. Vietnam is also one of the big citizenships doing the Golden Visa, as well as United States. And why Portugal? When comparing with other countries, you can search online, when you can visit, and when you visit Portugal, probably will fall in love with the country. But I can tell some of the topics that can be a game changer. So Portugal is the third safest country in the world and the most safest country in Europe, according to the World Peace Index of this year. The access to the Portuguese passport that you will have with the Golden Visa means that you will have one of the strongest passports in the world with free visa access to 185 countries. The Portuguese educational system is also very well ranked, with 7 universities in the QS World University Ranking. Portugal is also one of the best countries to live, retire, and visit after COVID-19, according to Forbes ranking. The accessible and international quality healthcare system in Portugal, as well as the political stability and social rights, are also very important for the high net worth individuals that are choosing Portugal, as well as the freedom of expression, religious, sexual, and racial tolerance, and appreciation for the female leadership. Besides that, we can also be proud to say that we are one of the most welcoming European countries in the world, offering citizens according to Internation's ranking. We are in the top 10 of the best European cities to invest in real estate, according to PricewaterhouseCoopers and the Urban Land Institute. The access to the Portuguese-speaking countries, which is also very important when we are speaking about some business sectors, because we have free access and direct access to Africa and Brazil markets. And Portugal is also ranked as a ease of doing business country, as well as the next digital hub in Europe, and privileged access to blue and green projects because of our location in Europe, near Atlantic Ocean. I will pass the words now to Lee, so she can explain better the 350 option, as well as the bank position to help the clients in coming to Portugal. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, Sara. That's the presentation was very useful. So I'll introduce here Bison Bank. Bison Bank is a Portuguese bank, okay, a European-based bank in Portugal. We are held by a private Chinese capital from Hong Kong, focused on providing a wide and specialized range of wealth management, depository and custody, and investment banking services to individuals, high net worth wealth individuals, and institutional clients. Okay? We are based in Lisbon in order to leverage the development of its business activities. And we have a strong business presence in all over Europe, Hong Kong, and mainland China, as well in Africa, and also Brazil. Okay? Bison Bank was acquired in 2018 by the Bison Group, which is our shareholder, and we have a universal license established in Portugal for the banking sector. So here is our board of directors. Our CEO is Mr. Bian. He has a vast experience in the banking sector in the Bank of China, which he stayed for several years in Hong Kong. Also, we have 3 more board members that also have vast experience in the national Portuguese banking sector, and Francisco Oliveira with also international banking experience. With our non-executive board members, we have Ms. Lily Yang and Mrs. Ever Dork. which worked at ING Bank and is now our non-executive board members. Okay. So focusing on our services, the bank offers two types of services. The major one is the private clients, the private banking services, which includes client management and wealth management. And we have the investment bank that holds M&A, capital markets, bond issuance, and IPOs. So focusing on client management in order to give you support on the immigration process, we have a department that you will be designated with a dedicated client manager that will follow you through all the immigration process and afterwards. So our approach is a holistic approach in order to build, manage, or transfer your wealth across generations, starting by immigrating to Portugal or not. Our client management teams leverage from the wide business of network Bison Bank, which we can access a worldwide financial solutions. So if you want a product that you are used to invest in your own country, Bison Bank can get that product for you, or at least arrange a similar product for you to invest. Okay. Also, we value transparency and trust are the common denominators in our department, and we customize we customize our portfolio investments based on the risk analysis and elaborating multiple asset allocation frameworks requires for you. Okay. So this is our pillars for the client management. Okay. As I said, we have a holistic financial solutions, innovation and content team with more than 30 years of experience that will follow you and give you the advice and support that you need in terms of banking needs for the immigration process and afterwards. Okay. Financial market expertise, we can give you advice and recommendations regarding to your portfolio depending on the risk assessments that you will do with us. Relationship based on transparency and trust. And the most of all, we can access to Asian flavor products, which you also can be interested for the portfolio investment. So what we can offer you in terms of banking products, okay? We can do, the Bison Bank, it's available to do remote account opening. So you don't need to come to Portugal to get a bank account opened. The process is agile and we give you access to the mobile app when you are not here and you may consult your account wherever you are. The Bison Bank account, it's a multi-currency account. You can choose whatever currency you want, but for the immigration purpose, it needs to be equivalent to the amount in euros, okay? A dedicated client manager for you, available in Portuguese, English, and in Chinese. And we, for clients that have more than 100K deposit with us, the management fee of the account is exempt. It's free. So when you open a bank account service, you will get access to a brokerage where you can trade your financial products. You can have access to a discretionary portfolio management, investment advisory, which Pedro will give you highlights about it. Also, we can give you retirement saving plans if that's your need, access to AG markets, third-party funds, and venture capital funds eligible for the Golden Visa, which I will explain a little bit forward in this presentation. Okay, so the bank is focusing in 4 types of Golden Visa. The capital transfers, that's what the bank provides, and we give you support to the ones who choose real estate properties. Okay, the bank will not choose a real estate for you. That's our partner's business, but we can access and give you the banking service you need in terms of transfer, payments, everything you need to conclude the deal. Okay. For other Golden Visa programs, we also give support, but this four is our main focus. Okay. Getting on the topics of fund eligible for Golden Visa. This program was approved in the end of 2018 in Portugal by the Immigration Office, and basically is the fund should invest 60% of its total assets in a Portuguese company, non-listed company, and 40% in everything, anywhere that fund wants to do it. So these funds are one of the cheapest programs in the Golden Visa, okay, and also give you the access to the reunification of your family, okay. You will benefit a low-risk investment profile that will focus on the yielding real estate or other assets-based investment schemes. You have a tax exempt for non-regular residents, which if you are not come living to Portugal as a permanent resident, you will benefit the tax exempt because the Portugals have double-tree agreements with most of the countries, okay? Diversification in various assets within the fund. So basically, you are not going to invest in one asset. You will invest in a lot of assets altogether, and you can expect an average yield of 5% each year, IRR. So in terms of what you need to invest at least 5 years in the investment in the fund, which most of funds are around 7 to 10 years. Okay, minimum capital transfer is 350. Spend a minimum 1 week per annum in Portugal, as Sara said, or 14 days in every 2 years, and open an account at Bison Bank and deposit the UPs here with us. Okay, so in terms of costs and subscriptions methods, after you open an account, the bank will, after you open an account and transfer the money, the bank will proceed with the subscriptions, where we charge a 0.15 of transaction fee. This is one shot, and held a 0.02% of custody fee in every quarter. At the exit, we also apply for the transaction fee, and that's all the costs you have with the immigration process in terms of the program of fund. Okay. And this is it. I hope you can think about this program, and Bison Bank is always welcome for more questions and receive you here in Portugal. Now I'll pass to Mr. Gilberto Jordan. Well,
and I will be introducing our group. We're real estate developers. We have been for 80 years. The business was started by my grandfather in the 40s, in 1940, and in Lisbon and in Brazil, among other countries. Today, we are the largest developers of residential real estate in the Greater Lisbon area, and I will be introducing the Belas Clube de Campo Lisbon Green Valley Real Estate Solutions. Here you have one of our new buildings, and but before I show you this, we are in the business, as I said, for 80 years. Over 50 years ago, my father, here in the picture, started what is still today the most recognized and most valued real estate in the Mediterranean, which is in Portuguese Algarve coast. It's one of the largest resorts with a 5 golf course master plan community, and with over 1,000 property owners and an extensive beach. Then in the 90s, we bought the largest real estate master plan community in Europe and developed it further. That again is a long-term development which we revitalized and brought back from derelict to one of the most thriving communities in Southern Europe. Today I'm introducing the Bellersgroep Campo, which is a project started slightly over 20 years ago. Here you have some pictures. It's a master plan community with a championship golf course and a series of amenities, which I'll be showing you later. And it is in the center of Greater Lisbon. As you can see here, in red are the highways which connect to the beaches, very near to the airport also, and to the center of town. So we're at the axis of the Greater Lisbon area, in the middle of the nature, and on a hillside between 250 and 350 meters high, which is called the Serra da Carregueira Hills. Here's a picture and of the already developed part. We have over 800 resident families, almost 3,000 people living here. And as I mentioned before, over 30 nationalities. Many of these were brought, Sara Rebolo from Caiado, Guerreiro, which introduced the scheme, attended their Golden Visa processes. And within the development here, you see the clubhouse with our buggy fleet, some images from the golf course, the clubhouse restaurant and bar and lounge. We have a series of activities from football to golf classes, to yoga, to tennis courts. All of these facilities are increasing and being developed. We have a 24-hour, 7 days a week, 360 days security services, which control the perimeter and inside. We have a school from 1 month to 12 years old children. It's brand new, it just opened now. And it's one of the most advanced schools in the Greater Lisbon area, and an investment and managed by the oldest educational organization in Portugal, with over 50 schools and over 100 years old. And it's bilingual in terms that it's Portuguese and English from very early on. We are proud to be the most certified sustainability quality real estate developer in Portugal, in some areas in Europe. We're permanently trying to innovate and managing to do so also. And submitting our processes to certification, which several you see here. We have won in the past 3-4 years almost all the awards regarding energy efficiency, sustainability, and even very new things like water efficiency. And our solutions, residential solutions, we don't call them products, we have solutions which vary greatly from 1 to 3 bedroom apartments, in the future 4 bedroom apartments and penthouses, like this building. Here you have an example of the model apartment. Then we have townhouses. This is a 4 bedroom townhouse, and we have also 3 bedroom townhouses. Here's other views from it. Total connection with the surrounding areas. There are no high rises. The most a building can have is 4 stories, all very efficient and nicely decorated. Then we have a new generation of row houses here at display, which are to be delivered in the next years. And also you have the option to having single family villas on large plots. Our solutions started 300,000 for a plot of land and 400,000 for the apartments. And we will be very happy to welcome you in our clubhouse, in our golf course, and any other amenities that you might be interested in. Thank you. And I'm happy to pass it on to Pedro Rodrigues from Bison Bank.
Thank you very much, Gilberto. Once again, I'm very happy to be here. It's a pleasure. And I'm going to give you, following also Lee's presentation, the specific wealth management services that Bison Bank has available to its clients. So it was already mentioned by Sara. There is an option to getting the Golden Visa by having an account of 1 million euros or equivalent. And therefore, this will be invested for the clients in several ways that we can show you now. At Bison Bank, we focus on an integrated wealth management approach that is based on comprehensive advice, investment planning, and asset allocation expertise. We think that by doing this, the clients benefit from a fully integrated service. And therefore, we also get the complete financial situation of the client. With all this in mind, I mean, we combine financial situation assessment of the client. We see what the investment objectives, the risk profile, the investment horizon, and the return expectations of each client is. We treat each client as a single individual, being institutional or not. And after that, we start the investment planning process so that we can choose the best options to get to the investment objectives of the client and so on. We do this by, through a thorough portfolio construction and implementation, strategic and tactical asset allocation, and of course, we do a continuous market analysis and portfolio evaluation at the same time. We have a strong compliance and risk department. So we have constant portfolio monitoring so that we don't step out of all the boundaries that the client has defined for its portfolio investment risk profile. Therefore, we also have powerful portfolio reporting through one portfolio management system that we acquired last year, and therefore we get we can send to clients the full and comprehensive report of what has happened to their portfolios. Our investment framework, we look at it as a global approach. In terms of asset classes, in terms of investment instrument types, and we focus and we want to privilege the flexibility of our investment process and our investment portfolios. So we want to have flexible and diversified allocation between asset classes. We have an unconstrained approach. We always look for the best possible alternative to get to the profitability and to the objectives of the client. And we also look at thematic approaches through stock picking. And therefore, the picture on the right can show you the combination of instruments, investment instruments, and asset classes in trying to get the best portfolio solution for each client. We go through the process decision, we go through quantitative analysis, we go through qualitative analysis, and also we look for technical and trading analysis when we look at the different asset classes and the different financial instruments that we use in composing each portfolio. Speaking more specifically about the two main services that we offer, we distinguish between the discretionary portfolio management and non-discretionary portfolio management, which is the investment advisory. We characterize this discretionary portfolio management as a working for the client. So this is a service that is suitable for investors that don't have much time and not much experience, and they wish to delegate this responsibility. So the clients give the bank the mandate for the bank to manage the whole portfolio for the clients. Of course, this is a customized service. We always fit. We have 3 model portfolios that we will show you later, and that depends on the risk profile. But we have also the option for a tailor-made portfolio for each one of the clients, so that the clients do not feel obliged to just to invest in one specific model that we have. We can adapt each risk model to the specific needs of every client. So the wealth manager is responsible for all the investment in this case, within working for the client. We have in both services, we have the full support of our product specialist team, which it's constantly evaluating the best investment instruments and solutions. And we, of course, have an allocation that also includes what we call the Asian flavor, through investment opportunities and the knowledge that the bank has, which is provided by the group unit in Hong Kong. As I mentioned previously, risk levels and asset allocations are continuously reviewed, monitored, and evaluated both by the risk department and by the bank's wealth management committee. Also, the clients benefit from reduced transaction costs. As I mentioned before, this is just to highlight a little bit how the discretionary portfolio management is structured. As I told you, we have 3 model portfolios which differ on the risk profile. So we have conservative profile, moderate profile, and aggressive profile. On the right side, you can see the difference in the central allocations that we set out for each one of the risk profiles. So of course, the conservative risk profile and model portfolio has a higher percentage of fixed income investment as opposition for the aggressive allocation, which is has more allocation for the equities and for risky assets. Also, we set the entry level for this service as at 50,000 K, which is not relevant for what we're talking in this conference, in this webinar, which is the Golden Visa. But this is just to show that we have the most flexible approach, and we tend to use the instrument types that best fit to each one of the strategies. And as you see on the right side of the model portfolios, we have what we call the tailor-made, which typically will start at 1.5 million, but that we can accommodate for this Golden Visa accounts. So it's not obliged to have 1.5 million. We like to have it, but of course, if we want to adapt to the Golden Visa, we can start at 1 million at this level for the tailor-made portfolio. The other main service, of course, is the investment advisory. In this case, the bank doesn't work for the client, but the bank works with the client, and it works with the client through an experienced and dedicated investment advisor. And the investment advisor, aims to offer a value proposal for sophisticated clients, being high net worth individuals or institutionals. We follow pretty much the same decision process as we follow for the discretionary portfolio management. So our idea generation process includes a global view of financial markets and proprietary screening models for tactical investments. We also have here the possibility to include the Asian flavor. So in the terms of investment process and portfolio buildup, the 2 services are pretty much the same. What differs is that with the discretionary portfolio management, the bank manages the portfolio for the client. In this case, in the investment advisory, the bank only advises the client, and all the decisions in the portfolio are made with the client and with the acknowledgement of the client. This is just a brief overview. It's a description of our investment advisory process. We believe in the value of a sound investment strategy and a disciplined approach. One advantage that the investment advisory service has is that we have a goal to create an investment proposal that aims to deliver short-term or medium-term returns, and to reflect not only the client's objective returns, but also their vision and personality. We tend to have more flexible strategies in the investment advisory than in the discretionary portfolio management service. This is the team. As I said in my introduction, we have a very specialized team with lots of experience in the sector. Everybody has their own past experience in different financial institutions, going from Portugal national banks to international banks like Barclays. So it's a very experienced team, and we are very happy to be in touch with you if you like these solutions. One thing that I would point out about the 1 million euros of Golden Visa is that it's probably the most flexible solution of the three. Of course, the other ones, the entry level in terms of money is less than this one. But for example, in the venture capital funds, you need the lockout of 5 years. If you buy a real estate, also as good as an asset that it is, it's less liquid. So this is a good approach if the clients, or if someone looking for the Golden Visa wants more flexibility and more, flexibility of the investments that they are going to make. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pedro, for explaining the 1 million option of investment on the Golden Visa. Thank you, Gilberto, for explaining the $500,000 option in real estate and the beautiful projects that you have here to present us. And thank you, Lee, for explaining the 350 option in investment funds, a very brand new option that is becoming the trend between the Golden Visa investors all over the world. We are now passing to our Q&A in live. So please let us have your questions. I know that we have here a lot of queries already. We will try to answer all. If not, if we don't manage within the time that we have, we'll for sure be in contact with you, sending the presentations and replying to your questions by email. Please. Thank you so much for your time. The options that's mentioned in regard to the financial products, Lee, do you want to say something about it? If the bank will request any professional experience in financing for the applicants?
No, we will do assessment in terms of the risk profile that the client is up to, but we do not find any requirements that the client has to have already a professional experience or any kind of experience in the market, in the financial market. Okay, that is something that is not required and not needed. Only we will do internal assessment, but that's not anything to do with the immigration process.
Okay, next question. Let me see here. So on a developer perspective, how can a new real estate project, more than 30 residential units that will be located in an urban rehabilitation area in Porto, can be prepared to have the conditions to be considered for the Golden Visa purposes for several clients, future apartment owners? Please consider that the land and the architect project will have to be on the developer's name and not on the future client's name. Well, this is a very specific question on the 350K option of investment in real estate in rehabilitation. I can tell you for general terms that is possible. You have two different options, or you have a pool of investors that will buy the building in co-ownership, or you have to file the requests for a provisional horizontal property in order to have the division of the units for each investor. Of course, we can then later discuss this in concrete, since it's a very specific question. I don't know if there are anyone that wants to add any question while we still have some time. I have here, how long does it take to get the passport? So the Portuguese Golden Visa program it's a residence program that leads to citizenship, meaning that by applying, you can start doing the process and you can apply then for citizenship after 5 years of holding the Golden Visa. So that's also explained. Lee, again, for funds, it's very trendy. What is the investment strategy of the funds that are eligible for the venture capital funds?
So the most of the funds we are encounter, it's the typical venture capital funds where invest in the equity of the companies. Okay, but we select 3 options that is related to real estate. Okay, the assets underlie the fund, it's purely real estate, and the investment strategy, most of them is through tourism sector, agricultural, industrial, and healthcare for the elderly care companies that have the real estate and receive the income from them.
Okay. We have here a question not regarding the Golden Visa, but regarding the E2 agreement with the United States for Portuguese citizens. It's not yet in force. It's still under evaluation and will be discussed probably within this year. We will keep it posted in case there are any developments in this immigration option to the United States. Checking if there are any other questions. How can I secure my investments? Mr. Pedro, do you want to share some thoughts on this?
Sure. I think, of course, being the services of wealth management, being either discretionary portfolio model management or the investment advisory, it's not that the returns are not guaranteed. So, of course, all investments and the worth of the amount of the portfolios are dependent of the performance of the assets that are included inside the portfolios. So, of course, there has to be a close monitoring of the risk and of the performance of the markets and of the assets that are inside the portfolios to guarantee, in figurative terms, that the complete amount or the total amount of the portfolio doesn't fall below the 1 million threshold. Of course, if this happens, because there is some big devaluation in the market or in the markets, in the financial markets, the investors and the applicants for the Golden Visa would have to transfer more money to get to the 1 million euros threshold again. So therefore, what we can say is that on an average term, financial markets always deliver positive returns, and of course it's our objective and it's our commitment to never get the total amount of the portfolios to fall below the 1 million mark. But of course, there is no guarantee that we can enforce, and therefore investors should always keep this in mind.
Thank you. We have here a question about the thoughts and the expectations regarding the tourism sector in Portugal and the connection with real estate. Gilberto, do you want to share some ideas on this? I know that in your Belgisch Club de Campo, you were thinking in having a hotel. What do you think that will be the market perspective on this?
Well, as we know, the hospitality industry has been one of the hardest hit by the pandemic. However, the lockdown has finished, and we expect Portugal to be one of the first countries to come out of this crisis. And the long-term perspectives of tourism in general, I think, are very positive. I don't think anybody will want to stop to travel, stop to meet and see new places. That's not going to happen. I think it's a very ingrained tendency. We've been working in the area for many years. And on the short term, it doesn't look sexy, but it is a clear investment option for the long term. And I think that's the perspective one has to have. Yeah, like in anything else, value creation is a long-term business, and we should keep that in mind.
Okay, thank you. More questions. For getting a golden visa for a family of 3, is the investment amount 350K or 1 million? So I'm replying to this one. The investor can choose any kind of option, and under any kind of option, regardless the amount of investment, the investor is entitled, has the right to reunify the family members. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 family members, provided that they are the direct family members. So it's not related to the option of investment, neither the amount of investments. Another question on the real estate. Can a new project, construction to be started in November 2020, to be concluded in 2022, expected date of the public deeds, be considered for golden visa purposes? As legal advisor, I will confirm, yes, it's possible, because you can apply for the golden visa with the promissory agreement. So it's a prior contract that you enter before the definitive acquisition of the ownership rights. And for golden visa purposes, what you have to show is that you have already paid the minimum amount of investment that the law defined, and you can then finish the acquisition within 1 or 2 years. You just need to show the definitive ownership rights at the time of the second renewal, so not at the beginning. In this perspective, I can ask Mr. Gilberto if in his projects, in his real estate projects, you had any cases of golden visa that were filed in this way and were approved.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's possible. And you have to do the investment, transfer the funds, make proof of that, and with the promissory contract, and then have 1 or 2 years to conclude the construction and the deed.
Okay, we have here other questions regarding business immigration options. Yes, there are business immigration options that do not regard to financial products, neither real estate. We can then send you more information on this by email. More questions. How much total invests according to Indian rupees? This will be a matter of cambio, so we can check that it's the currency. In Portugal, it will be according to euros, so you can transfer any kind of currency, but the amount in the end needs to comply with the euro amount of investment. And I don't know if Lee wants to explain a little bit how this works, to start with one currency and then fulfill the program with another currency.
Yeah, sure. As Sara said, the immigration office will only see the equivalent of how many euros you will have, independently the currency you transfer to your account. Okay, in the Bison bank you will have the multi-currency account. Unfortunately, we do not have rupees, but we have dollars and other accounts that you may wish to use. Okay, if not euros. But if you have the equivalent in terms of euros for the program you choose, the bank will issue a declaration that states that you have the equivalent amount in your bank account or the investment you applied for, according to the currency rate at that day. And if you do not achieve that amount, we will inform you, and you have to transfer more in order to fulfill the equivalent of euro in your account.
Okay.
I might just add that at the current currency exchange between the rupee and euros, it should amount to something like 85.5 million rupees.
Okay, thank you.
That's the equivalent for 1 million euros.
Thank you, Pedro. Another question, when can we start the investor visa process with the current situation? So I'm assuming the current situation means coronavirus. So I can explain that the Portuguese Golden Visa has two stages, an online stage and a stage that is presential in person. So it's possible to start the process from abroad without coming to Portugal, providing that you can open and use a Portuguese bank that works in this way, in distance, has Bison Bank. That you can have a legal advisor in Portugal that can manage all the options, including real estate or funds investments for you here in Portugal. And we can start the process this way. We do the online application with the proof of all the documents, and the immigration office will have a preliminary analysis of the process and will issue a notification of acceptance. With this notification of acceptance, you are then entitled to come to Portugal, choosing a date according to your agenda and according to the borders opening, to visit the immigration office for a brief interview and biometric collection. So at this moment is one of the few immigration programs in the world that you can start even during the pandemic crisis. More questions? Okay, it's already replied. A question on real estate, if it's necessary to do just one investment or more investments. So in each option of investment, you can have several products, meaning on the real estate, you can have 1, 2, 3, 4 real estates until you fulfill the minimum amount of investment. Under the participation units of investment funds, the same. The requirement is that if you choose an option, you just have products on that option. You cannot mix the different options, real estate with financial products, with corporate options. And within each option, you can aggregate several products in order to fulfill the minimum amount of investments. A question about the impact of COVID in the real estate yield and value. Mr. Gilberto, any thoughts on this?
Well, once again, on a short-term basis, it has had an impact. It will have an impact throughout probably this year, but we already see a fast comeback in terms of interest and in terms of transactions. Obviously, yield-producing investments such as commercial areas, shoppings, logistics, and offices will have a bigger impact. The value of residential will probably hold up much stronger than that. The residential option in a new post-pandemic world where remote work is an option, or a very strong option, at least it has been for our clients in the past. One of the interesting things is that all of our houses and the larger apartments have incorporated offices, home offices, because since many years, our client base, our high net worth individual client base, are mobile workers, both work, husband and wife, and they need their office space within the house because they're international travelers or have that option of working not necessarily in the office but on the computer. So yes, there is a short-term impact, but I think again it will be not back to past normal. The past normal won't come back in yield-producing real estate, but it will come back strong, and we'll see. Again, you have to choose between good and bad. It's like in anything, solid real estate. We work in the AAA real estate arena. So we're looking at long-term valuation, low volatility of the value of the asset, and that's how we work.
Okay. Here a journalistic question on Portugal, if it's safe to decide to invest in Portugal regardless of the option. Pedro, do you want to have some comments on this, how Portugal is ranked in the investment sector between all the European countries and in the world?
Well, as you know, Portugal, being a member of the European Union and the Eurozone, must comply with all the European regulations and directives that come out of Brussels and out of the European Commission, European Parliament, and so on. We know that at the moment, Europe is probably the most regulated geographical area in the world. So there has been many directives that have been enforced in the last few years that really protect the investment of clients, and they were designed to protect clients after the financial crisis 10-12 years ago. So in that respect, I would say that probably Europe, and Portugal being a member of Europe, are one of the most transparent and safe areas in the world to invest and for the clients to have some protection. This in terms of the financial markets, of course.
Okay, we have here a question to clarify. Could you please explain why we are discussing €1 million investment if the minimum amount of Golden Visa is the 350K? So as I mentioned before, the Golden Visa has 8 different options of investments. In general terms, we can divide it in 6 different sectors. So financial, real estate, business, corporate. So in the financial, you have, we can summarize 2 options, the 1 million deposit and the 350K investments in participation units of funds. I don't know if Mr. Pedro wants just to clarify a little bit, this 1 million, what is the difference for the 350 option? Because it's a huge difference on the amounts. So what is the benefit?
So as I explained a little bit on my presentation, as Sara explained, there are 3. If you want to do investments without setting up a business, there are 3 real main options, with the 350K, with a subscription of venture capital funds that have typically a lockup period of at least 5 years. So, and these are more long-term investments, and these funds, as the name says, tend to invest in companies that are similar to startups. Of course, there you can choose a little bit depending on the venture capital fund that you choose. You can specify a little bit the aim of your investment, because there are venture capital funds that also invest in real estate, but there are others that invest in technology companies. There are others that invest in industrial companies. So in that matter, the 350K option also has a little bit of flexibility in terms of investment scope. Nevertheless, as I said, they typically require a lockup period of 5 years. As for the 1 million euros option, as I said, you have a little bit more flexibility. You can choose and change your risk profile along the way. So if you want to be more conservative at the start, and then the amount of money start getting some good performance and some good returns, you can change your risk profile to, let's say, a moderate risk profile with no extra charge. And you can typically combine different instruments and different asset types. So you can invest in fixed income, which means you can invest in debt from countries or debt from companies, and you can invest in equities, you can invest in commodities, you can invest, it's an investment account. And that's why for this account that offers much more flexibility to clients, the Golden Visa program requires more a larger initial amount than for the other options, which were designed. The first one that came into place was the real estate one for the 500K. It was designed to revitalize the real estate market in Portugal a few years ago. And of course now with the venture capital, it's designed to fund and get capital into the small and medium companies in Portugal.
Okay. A question now on the real estate. I'm a foreign, I'm coming to Portugal buying a real estate. What costs should I consider? Mr. Gilberto, do you want to give us a perspective on the costs, a general overview, the taxes that are involved?
I think that's your department.
Okay, so I can summarize. Of course, it will depend on the option of investment on the real estate, considering that all the real estates are subject to taxes on the acquisition. So you pay two taxes, one that we call the IMT and one that we call the stamp duty. Those are calculated on the purchase price, and you just pay one time for the acquisition. After that, the costs that you have to consider with the real estate will depend. If you are speaking on an apartment, probably you will have a condominium fee. All the real estates, regardless of being independent villas or apartments, are subject to a mandatory insurance for fire. And besides that, you have an annual tax that you will pay, we call IMI. It's a very small fee, a very small tax. It's between 0.3% up to 0.45%, not on the purchase price, but on a tax value, a formula defined by the tax authority for each real estate, depending on the location, the accessibilities, solar exposure. So will depend, but it's a very reasonable fee for keeping the maintenance of the municipality.
Just to add, Sara,
yeah.
Regarding the cost of the condominium, which you mentioned, I'll give you one example. For a 3-bedroom apartment in our development, will be around 230 euros per month.
Okay. What are the other investment options besides the real estate? So, as mentioned before, we have the financial options. We also have options related to the jobs creation and options related to donations regarding scientific or technological research, as well as for the cultural patrimony. And besides that, we have corporate options where you invest in a company or you incorporate a company in Portugal and you guarantee 5 job positions. But it's something that we will send you in our presentation in the follow-up. You will see all the listed options of investment for the Golden Visa with any details that you may need. And if you have questions, you can then follow up by email or by WhatsApp or WeChat or Skype. A final question, I believe, that is, what is the NHR? NHR, it's not an immigration option. The NHR, it's the letters for non-habitual residents. It makes some confusion, the name that was given to this program. It's a tax program, not an immigration program. So basically, it's a special tax status for your personal income, where you can accumulate with an immigration program. So the NHR is for all the citizens, including Portuguese, including European. Golden Visa, it's not. It's just for non-European citizens. And if you want to benefit from the NHR, meaning to have a special tax status, where you will have exemptions regarding the income that you gain from abroad, or you can benefit from low tax rates on the Portuguese income, you can apply for it. To apply for it, you have to have a civil right to live in Portugal, which means that if you are a Portuguese, you already have it. You can go straight to the NHR if you are not considered as a tax resident in the last 5 years. If you are European, you can go straight to NHR because as an European, you can live in Portugal. And you can apply directly to have the tax benefit of the NHR. If you are a non-European, in that case, you need to apply first for an immigration program to be granted with a residency permit, like the Golden Visa, and then apply for the NHR, accumulating the advantages of the immigration programs and the tax advantages of the NHR. Asking if we have offices in the UAE. Caiado, the law firm, no, I don't think Bison has either, but we have local colleagues from our network that can assist and make the bridge between Portugal and the United Arab States. And just to end, how does the Portuguese program compare to the Spanish Golden Visa? There are a lot of differences. There are charts that can divide each topic for you to see the main difference, but I can, from an initial perspective, explain that the values of investment are different. The options are different. In Portugal, you have much more flexibility on choosing the options. And besides that, the most crucial point is that in Portugal, you can access the Portuguese passport after 5 years. And in Spain, the passport is just foreseen for a period after the 10 years. So it's quite different. I don't know if any minutes last questions that anyone wants to put in our chat. If not, I will say thank you. Also asking if we have office in India. Not directly, but we have local colleagues that makes the bridge with us and represents our documents there and can assist with the local diligence. So thank you so much for the presence of all of you. There are now here some inquiry to vote on the webinar. I hope that you enjoyed. I thank you to Lee for being here to explain the 350 options on the investment funds, to Pedro to explain the option of 1 million investment and his flexibility and being one of the most fastest ones, and to Gilberto to explain the real estate option in Portugal and the future perspective and the COVID impact in the sector.
Thank you so
much. We will be doing a follow-up of this webinar by email by sending our presentations. Feel free to ask any questions then, and let's keep in touch. Stay safe, stay well. Bye-bye.